Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, and today I'm joined with just me. Unfortunately, we got some kind of cold stuff going on, and so Hubcap's a little worse than I am, so I asked him just to hang back and chill and relax, and we're going to get this done. So please bear with me if I miss your question. I will try to look up as much as possible and then go back and find it, or you can repost it in the chat. That way I can get it answered. And if I start coughing, I'm going to mute. That way I'm not coughing in your ear. And we're just going to work on the tree bark. Hey, Andrea. Hey, Sheila. So, I'm not sure if I discussed it in the members live or if I discussed it last week. Kind of blank on that. But I inadvertently hit, some stuff came off my shelf and hit my board right here. I can zoom in for you. And it, because it's basswood, it dented the board. Normally I'd be really upset, but what I'm going to do is act like this was done intentionally and that is part of the bark. So I'm going to burn into it and make it look like it's just always there. I could fix it, but that does take some work on a board that already has the pattern and I've already been burning. To fix it, I would take a damp towel and wet the area, and then take an iron over that damp towel, and I would iron just with no steam. I'm using the steam from the towel created by the iron to raise the grain in this area, because the wood isn't broken. What it is it's dented, so the grain is just pushed in on itself. And then I'd have to go back and do all the sanding and get it back to where the rest of the board is. So I'm going to choose not to do it in this case because I can hide it. There's already some deeper areas, darker areas within the board, so I'm just going to hide it. I'm heating up the 18 extra small spear shader at 2. And because this is raw wood, it's going to burn pretty darn dark. I'm going to angle it so you guys can see what's going on. And we're going to get going. Alright, let's see how close I can get to the board. This is a floor easel, because this is a big piece. Now this, at the tip, is going to burn darker. And I need to pay attention to how some of the other bark is going, because we have this bark that's going at this angle. This one kind of curves around. We have more light hitting on this side because this is where the sun is coming through from this direction. So it's going to be lighter on this side. And because it's a cylindrical item, it's going to curve. And it's going to get darker here because one is this area is the furthest from the light, but 2, the bear is also casting a shadow on it. So we need to make sure we take that into consideration to make it look like a 3D round object. So where this is at, we have enough of the dark. I'm looking at my reference photo. We're up in this area here of the tree, and I'm looking to see how best I can incorporate this to the bark. So, in looking at the bark, we can do one of two things. We can make it look like the indent that's down here of where a branch was and broke off, which is more at the top of that. Or we can make it look more like a claw mark, like what a bear does when it's marking its territory or sharpening the nails, which is kind of a little bit more of what this is. That's why they're more unified in shape and size. Now, it could just be an old tree wound and not from this bear because we don't see sap running out. So how do we want to do that? We want to hide this. Again, if this another area like the background, I'd probably try to make it look like a tree branch. If it was in the bear, I would just incorporate it into the fur. If I hadn't burned yet and it was this way, I would raise the grain and get rid of it. In fact, I do believe I had to do that in another area of where I don't remember, but I'm almost positive I did have to do that. And I recorded a video a long time ago on how to do that. See, we can see how dark this is going to be just by dragging. This is a dark area anyway. This is the darkest area. The darkest area is going to go up to the right, even within here, because the sun is hitting here and it's curving away. We got to keep that in mind in order to make it feel realistic. So because the bark is overhanging this area, our darkest area is going to be right up against where the bark is hanging over. And just like with the bear fur, because this is a more unified bark, we have areas that go across, but most of the grain of the bark is going up and down in a more unified direction. So we need to keep that in mind. So we have some texture there. It comes down. I think we are going to make it seem closer to this area above the cutout. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get in here. We're going to make it go away. And I'm actually going to go over the area. Bring it down. I'm using the tip right now. And the only reason anybody's going to know about it is because we discussed it. So we'll do that. Bring it down a little bit more into there. We're just going to hide it. Plus the heat's going to kind of indent the wood anyway. Hold on, I'm going to have to tell Hubcap to stay out. So I'm going to mute you guys real quick so that we're not talking in your ear. Alright, he wants to say hi to you guys.
Hey everybody. Hubcap here. Hope you all are doing good. Miss you guys.
Alright, now go lay down.
That is all.
Thank you, love. Alrighty. Now go get some rest. Alright, so in doing what we just did, we don't see that indent anymore. And because I'm giving this texture similar to other areas, it camouflages it. And I'm just moving quick. I haven't adjusted the heat. I am still on 2. Go. Get some of the crossover. Kind of curve these horizontal lines because they're going around. And boom, we no longer see those indents. They are gone. I see a little bit right there. so I can actually get in there with the tip. Kind of angle around so I can see. Go a little bit more flat with the tip. Just like with the bear fur, kind of sketch around, because there is no uniformity to this. With bark, you don't want any real uniformity. It's going to be lighter at this edge, and we'll kind of make it where there is a bit of light hitting it. Break up the line. Don't make it just a straight line, although there are some barks that are a little bit more uniform than that. This one is not one of them. And I am flat and moving quickly, doing a bit of an oval stroke just to make it more messy. Kind of bring them together, and then we'll do this piece right here in order to see what's going on. This right here is going to be our lightest edge, and then anywhere there's indents, let's see here, we have some dark. So we'll get the dark in here. This can be all different kinds of darks, so that it's not just a blob. And we can blend it out. Again, any area that's up against the right edge of the bark is going to be darker. And we do have a bit of a lip here. We'll bring it down. This one's more of a straight line. Luckily, we don't have to be exact because it is bark. Nobody's going to be comparing your tree bark to the photo. And we don't want it as detailed as the fur, because then, for one, the tree is a little further back versus the bear. The bear is our center, is our main subject, and we want the most detail to go into our bear. Next is the tree, because it is closer to the camera than the furthest background. So it does have detail, but not as much when we look on the perspective. If we put too much detail in the tree, your piece will start looking busy. Like, if you have that problem, you're looking at your piece and you're like, why does it feel off? But you've done all this work and all this detail. It may be that it's too busy. You have too much detail going on throughout the entirety of the piece, so your eye isn't finding a place to land. So as the artist, you need to pick and choose what you want your viewer to see the most, to focus on the most. And in this case, it's going to be the bear. So that is where most of your detail needs to go, is in the bear. And then blur out as it goes. I think that's probably the biggest lesson in regards to detail to learn, besides taking your time, you'll get there, is when to put what detail. So this is a little darker area. in the bark. So I'm going to blend it in, pull them together. There we go. Get some dark up against this graphite. So we'll use the tip to just get in there a little bit. Get some more darks in there. But by sticking the most dark up against the right edge, it feels like it has more depth. Now, in real life, it's slightly darker than what you're seeing on the camera, and that's because I need to have this lit up more so you can better see it. But in general, when live streaming, it's a little darker. Alright. So we got some of our lines coming through here. I'm going to hold off on putting any more of the bare shadow in because I need to do some more adjusting. And these do tend to be a little shorter strokes because of the type of tree that it is. This can also be done with a ball tip, if you prefer the ball tip. And we can also use the grain of the wood because it's running north-south or a long ways. So we can use that to our benefit. Let's see here, there we go. Let's see if I can get scooched in a little bit more. I need to pull some heat from my tip just because this is dark, but not as dark as these strokes. So I'm more flat and do an oval stroke. And I'll go back in and get, we are seeing a bit of vertical texture in there, so I'll go back in and get it. But right now I just want to get shading in. Let's see here. And again, along the right side needs to be a little darker because it's going to be furthest from the light underneath where the bark is overlaying. So anytime you're doing any kind of overlay, whether it's say ripped paper or bark, anything like that, you're gonna put your shadow, your deepest dark shadow, on the side of the light underneath that ripped area, if that makes sense. Bring that together. Let's see here. Trying to see what's what. That comes together more. Over here. Bring it out. This is more of a straight line, as in the dark shadowing. So I'm just going over the graphite to get the right shape. There we go. We can always put some darks in just to lift up that bark a little bit more. Again, don't do a straight line. Use the tip. Let's see here. We have this come down a little bit. So let's get that in there. And this part's a little wider. And then we have a dark. Let's see. We got one that comes down. Dark's right there. We'll get that put in. We can always go back and put in more darks later. So if that makes it feel more comfortable for you, I'd go that route. Let's see here. We added this, but I think we need to have a little bit of connection. There we go. Alright. So we're going to head back up to the top, up in this area, up here by the ear. And see, the color photo you're looking at is the darker version of the photo, not the lighter version. So that shows how much darker areas will need to go. So right about here. And I'm going to keep the strokes up and down. I can always add more strokes in that go across later. You see, in doing this, we're actually having the grain work to our advantage. It's coming through. So we're going to darken what needs to go darker by laying flat. Just go up and down with the grain. Yeah, all this right here will have to go darker, but I'm not going to focus on that right now. I can go back and get that later. Running flat. Alright. Now we're going to pop down a little. Yeah, it's a little darker in person than what you guys are seeing. So just keep that in mind. As you watch me do it, it's going to be slightly darker. And here in a little while, I'll back out the camera. So hopefully we get a little closer to the what tonal value that's actually going on. Let's see here. See, go flat. Just run with the grain. Anytime we can use the grain to our benefit, we really should. So we have some light hitting here because this part of the bark is raised and then it indents. Luckily with bark, if we get a blob, definitely not anything to worry about. One, nobody's going to notice, and two, there's blobs all over tree bark, so I'm just trying to see where I have. So like here I got some blobs, I just bring them in together. Make it look like I did it on purpose. This line right here is actually a split. We've got some lighter grain right here in the middle. We got lighter tree bark. So we need to follow that. There's some lighter tree bark in here. Get it to this burning. I'm going to come back down here. This right here, we have a straight line. Let's see here. I think I got a little opposite because there's a straight line in the shadow here, like this. bring it together. So even where it's lighter, I can go over it. Because once I start putting the shadows around it, it won't matter. It will all look right. Remember, as I put more darks in, what looks dark now is going to lighten up. So within this line here, we have some darks, but I'll come back to that. This is a scar in the bark. And with the scars in the bark, there's a bit, let's see if I can angle myself the right way. I'm actually gonna go at the bottom of this graphite line, bring it around, leave a light part above it. Let's see, touch down in an area I've already burned. And it'll make it look raised, which is what I want. Closer down. Got some dark in here. I'll just go up on my edge. It's just a matter of going back and forth, back and forth. It's all pretty craggly, but I don't want to have a straight line. And then I can also change the thickness of the line. Hey, Spence! Depending on if I'm using my edge or just the tip. Look over here. This line, that's shadow from the bear. And angle more this way. So I know this is darker. So I'm going to run flat. Okay, got some shadow from here. This has a white highlight next to it. So I'm just gonna, that highlight is closer, but I'm not gonna stress about it right now. We have some darks in here. There we go. And I can go a little darker on some of the grain to bring it together. Now in here, I said there was some vertical texture. I can go on the edge, just kind of block some in. And we have some darks that go in this direction, more horizontal. We do need to pay attention to the direction. Alright, let's take a minute. Plus my shoulder needs a break. Let's take a minute to back it out. Because we're up close, it can be hard to see. Let's see here. There we go. I'll turn the light back on. It's just so I can see. Is it looking like tree bark? I mean, all this bear has to get much darker. So we're not looking at that. We're looking at the texture. Is it looking like a tree? I'm going to say yes. And we're going to get back to it. And if I pulled the camera, well, I can only go so far right now. But if I pulled it back even more, we'd see it more. Alright. We were right about, we'll go right about there. There we go. If anything gets hard to see, let me know. Ow. Alright. So we have a dark that's actually further down. Why don't we go ahead and put the dark in? Just because then I don't have to have my shoulder up so high for so long. So all this dark is above that. We're right about here. So you can see where the arm is separating from the body. We actually have the most highlight of the tree hitting right here. So this is what is kind of protruding, or we have more sunlight coming through the trees here. But it's also kind of curving out. So I'm actually going to bump down to 1. And with the 18 extra small spear shader, it burns hotter than the other ones because of how the tip is made, but there's a slight little bit more power on the Optima single because it only has, one pin to heat up. There's no switching between pins. It's just a matter of unplugging. So if money's a little tight, I highly recommend going with the single. And a couple of pins. You don't, like we discussed last week, you don't need them all. Most of this burning has been done with the 18 small and the 18 extra small. Out of all I've done so far, that's the 2 pins I've used the most. Alright, so we said right here, we have the highlight that comes down here, and we want this to look like there's an indent. So, in order to make it look raised, we're going to go flat, because we're going to come back and go across as well. We're going to go flat, small strokes, and then there's a line right above it that's light. So we're going to leave some space because we can angle the board so I can get in there better, but for now, we're going to small strokes flat, moving quickly. Let's see here. Over here, we have a dark, so I can go on my edge. Get that. And remember what we said earlier, the right side is going to be darker than the left because it's up underneath the bark. And I can even use the 18 small to get in there and do that because it's a thinner tip than the extra small. And same over here, we have the dark on the right. So we're going to get this scar in. It comes back down here. I can blend out from it, making it a little thicker. But we want the right side to be dark as we can get it. Because we want the bark to look raised. And that's where the shadow of the raised bark is going to be. Let's see, I can get you guys a little closer. Let me angle you slightly better. Unfortunately, Spencer, when they're public lives, I can't afford to turn off all of the ads. The members, you guys don't get ads because it's part of the benefit of being a member, but for the public lives, Unfortunately, there are ads. I've tried to cut. Used to, you could. They changed the settings on the ads, and I have less control as to when the YouTubers got a lot more ads. It's not necessarily because they've chosen to have more ads. It's because YouTube is like, we're putting more ads. I tried to make it when theirs was only ads at 30 minutes. So hopefully by the time we're done, you shouldn't get any more than 2 ad breaks. Based on my settings, hopefully. That was the best I could do. Because used to I could do an ad just at the beginning for the public. And then we didn't have any more ads. But YouTube doesn't allow us to do that anymore. Or if they do, I still haven't found that setting, and I shall keep looking. Because I don't want to have more ads than necessary. I know YouTubers make more money the more ads they have. But I also know how frustrating ads can be. Which is why I actually pay for YouTube Red, so that I don't get any ads for anybody. But I know not everybody can afford that. So for my YouTube watching pleasure, I don't see anybody's ads because I have YouTube Red. But I also use it for the music too. Alright, so getting this in there. We have some areas that, because I just put the shadow on the right side, it looks, hopefully it's coming across, and it's not. Let me zoom in more for you without moving the camera. I'm just going to zoom. Alright. I get a little blurry, and I'm going to try to fix that for you. Hopefully. See, if I put it on autofocus, I'll put my pen down, hopefully. Is that focus for you guys, or is that blurry? Looks a little blurry. Hopefully I fixed that. I hope. We won't be here too long. And there's some darks inside this little cutout. Again, I'm flat so I can control the heat a little bit more. But there is a light part right here, so I need to keep just on this edge some light, so it reads like the piece is coming out. The biggest thing on getting realism is burning what you see and how you see it. It may, because you're zoomed in, it may feel off. And because you're zoomed in, it is a little off. It's not going to be as big as what you're seeing zoomed in. If you keep that in mind and just follow what you see, whether it's the texture or the tone, it should read much better. So again, we've got some right bark right here on the edge, so we're going to go dark, up on the edge, drag out. Same with right here. And then it's dark in here. So I'm just trying to follow what I see. Sometimes if I get it a little off, that is okay. We don't have to stress about all of it. The only time being spot on matters is when you're working on a face. then it does matter. But tree leaves, tree bark, grass, anything like that really doesn't matter. In fact, those can be some of the most relaxing things to burn because you're not stressing about that. As long as you're getting the stroke, the texture, and the contrast or tonal value in there, it will all read right. Get some of that dark again back on the edge. I've got that a little tall, so I'll bring down. You can start seeing how it looks lifted, and that's because I'm not doing, hey bro, so that it looks lifted even though we have blacks in there. It is reading the way I want it to. But I'm not doing it all solid black. We're doing it in variations, but because I'm doing it that way, I'm actually pretty happy with how it's looking realistically. Kind of almost looks like a puzzle piece right there. And of course, as I put more in, let's see here, we've got more over here. So I shall pick a spot because there is an area. It's right here, it's straight. So we'll get that in there. But we need the darks, especially here, in order to have our lights and make it look indented. I should have done this at a better angle because it's more curved. So, cutting this side. Again, we got that dark line right on the right side because the sun is coming through from the right. If the sun was coming from the left, we'd be doing it on the opposite side. So all this is dark. I'm just going to go flat. And again, because now I'm on 1, it's going to burn lighter. I just need to slow down. And in this case, I actually probably could get away with raising my heat since I've already burned the area. But let's just get that in real quick. I'll make this a little bit bigger since it's... Bring it out. I'll go ahead and bump up to 1.5 just so I can go a little quicker. If I get a couple of, like right here, I went a little dark. My tip grabbed the grain. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to expand it. And nobody will know that it wasn't supposed to be, one, that dark in that area, but two, it also pushes me to darken some of the area where it does actually need to be darker. Because I know how hard it can be to darken something up, especially when you're going and you're going. It can be a little stressful to have to darken something up because you're worried you're going to mess it up. So if you go the mid-tone or dark to mid-tone to dark and give yourself some space to adjust, it will be just fine. And see, even right here, I didn't even go that full dark I've been doing, but it looks raised. And it is dark in here, but it's not quite as dark as over here. Bring this down a little bit. But bark can be really fun because you can just put on your favorite music and just go. You can adjust as you go. Not stress about it. Let's see here. So we have a hanging lip right about here, I believe. So we'll put it in. Go up against the darkest area. Kind of drag out a bit. Kind of feather it out. This one's not as thick. And then we have a light next to it, so I will just put that line in so I don't forget about it. So the underneath and the right side in this area. Drag out our medium darks. It gives us more control. Right up the edge. I can kind of tap it in too. That way let's see here. I kind of separated these two. You know what? I think that's alright. I'll just drag this down a little bit. There we go. Drag that up a little bit. Boom. Not having to be exact. We're all good. Flat. Drag with the grain. Because these areas are in shadow, they're just not as light. Let's see here. We'll bring out some of these darks. See, I'm up on my edge, dragging from the right. Blending them in. We've got a darkness of the tree and we have the bare shadow. So we'll just do that. And then let's bring that together. So we have a shape right here. See, this is dark. Our darkest edge is on the right. Don't get me wrong, it's dark in there, but it's just not as dark. This actually has the shape of a Christmas tree. Dark's on the right. And just keep building it up. Okay, so we can tap in. drag them down. Over here, bring this dark in, so I'm just flat. Just moving in quick. And I just realized I got a little distracted putting in these darks. I didn't discuss the indent, so let's get that discussed real quick, because we've already been going for an hour. Whew. Man, time flies, doesn't it? Bring that together. Alright, so for the indent, we were right. See, remember I put the... Oh, that line was up there. So we have it right here. I'm going to actually bump down to 1. Touch down in an area I've already burned to pull some heat. Alright. So I've got this line right here. Kind of curves. This is where the shadow is. This is where the lip is up. Kind of curves down. Comes over, and then goes straight across. Let's see how close we can get to straight across. See, that still needs to be thinner, but for what I'm doing, it's fine. Still need to bring it down. You see, I can go in and put all the shapes in first and then go back and put details in. Or I can put these details in and then come back and put the tonal value in. So that I would say is a personal choice. So let's put in some of these darks, because we want this to look indented. And then it comes up. Still need to bring this down even more. It needs to trail off, and I went a little dark there, so what I can do is I can come back here and extend it, make this darker. And don't extend the top any further. Just tone it up. Because this is our lightest area. Get some more curve in, a little bit of a smile. It looks dark right now, but that's because we don't have other darks in around it that go with it. So what I mean by that is like right here. Can darken some of that. Get some of the darker green that curves in. Get some of these darks in. This has some horizontal lines that are darker than the vertical lines. Kind of break it up We don't want any straight lines that are long, uniform straight lines. And all of this is, we don't have any real lights in here. So I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to go flat just to make it smoother. I can go back in and put the details. Here we go. And then we have some of the highlight on top of this. So we're going to keep it. And by being flat, and it is burning darker on the board than what you guys are seeing, I can go back flat and put some of those lines in, bark lines in. Kids start reading better. I gotta be careful. I gotta remember this is my light side. Gotta remember it's my light side. It indents right here. And so this is darker. So what I'm trying to do is remember not to, I'm just not gonna burn right here for now. So I can work on an adjustment later. So I'm just gonna leave it. We have a highlight right here. Another dark down here. But the indent starts looking like an indent when we have the light and a dark going right up against that light. Same as when we were doing the edge, the right edge versus the left edge. And then same concept, because now it looks raised. Now we just need to keep working that back and forth. Let's see. I made that pretty thin, so I'm going to thicken up my dark. Go up on the edge of the right side and blend it out. Not making the center, even though the center is dark, I'm intentionally not making it all one dark so that it has depth. If I just made this all dark, it would have no depth to it. It would look really flat, and we don't want it to be flat. So by letting there be different darks inside, it makes it look more realistic. Remember, I turned down my heat, so I need to slow down to get a darker burn. This is kind of a funny shape, although it does kind of look like a puzzle piece. Alright, so it's just a matter of continuing to work back and forth. Any areas I don't like, I can break out with the dark. But have some patience, because the more you do it, the more realistic it'll look. Let's see here. Thanks, Spence. So Gilah's not getting any ads on TV, but she's getting ads on her tablet. Yeah, I'm going to try to figure that all out. I tried to click the least invasive. Because maybe I don't want ads on every single thing constantly. YouTube's like, give me that money. Alright, let's see how far we can back out. Don't mind the mess behind. I'm still redoing the studio. And I actually am getting somewhere with it. So, let's back out as far as we can. This is a really big piece. Get that off my cord. See if I can pull this up any further. I got a cord extender. We'll see if it works with the camera. Spin says he's on an ad now, so he missed. For public lives, I need to figure out the best way to still make a little money. Because again, members don't have ads on the membership videos. I don't even turn them on. But on public, I don't have a choice. So I'll keep going. I see there's a pattern right here that I've created, although I think once I go in and do some shading in here, it'll look less patterny. But there is a pattern in the tree bark if we look. But I don't want it to stand out so much. And again, once I have the bear in, that will hopefully calm that down, plus the shading on the tree. But what we're doing today, that's what I will keep doing throughout the tree. And as I put it in, where I want less definition, I'm going to go flat with my pen. Where I want more definition, I'm going to work towards getting up on my edge. And again, most of this, 98% of this, what is currently burned on the board, I have done with just these two pens. The 18 small and 18 extra small Optima spear shaders. For all this, and again, I still have a lot more to do, obviously. I want this piece done by next January. Let's see, we've got more going on up here. But just wanted to show. I really hope it looks awesome when done. I was thinking, because I have an area where the bark came off, and I saved as much fallen bark to glue back on. But this piece of wood does have moss on it, and I'm thinking I might actually add some more moss to it here and there. But I haven't fully decided that yet. Once the board's done and maybe have a layer or two of varnish on the bark. I haven't decided. I might glue some more moss to it. Not too heavy so you can see there's moss on the side. I'm thinking of adding some more moss to it. Let's see here. Oh, this will cut down the glare too. There we go. But that's down the road. I'll make that decision down the road. It's not something I have to decide right now. It would just be little bits here and there strategically. But I think I might add to it and help the barks, be a true frame of the piece. So next week I need to decide if that next week's live is going to be public or private. It'll probably be another public one because we haven't been live publicly since April. You know, so maybe one or two more public lives and then we'll go back into the member lives. Next week, what would you guys like to do? Because with the members, we've already discussed, I think, pretty much all of the board, burning the different areas. So this is just a continuation for the members. So public, if you're not watching right now on replay, let me know what you would like to see next week. Since we've now done some bear fur, tree bark, we'd also worked publicly on the face a little bit. I'm hoping to get some more off-camera burning done just so we can move this along. So if you're right now, what you replay, and I will take that into consideration. And if there's no comments, then the members get to say. Because bottom line, the members always get to say. Super Toasties have all the words. Alrighty. Whew. It's hard talking for over an hour straight and not letting the brain shut down. That can be hard. But I did it. Luckily, Hubcap is resting and he should be ready to go by next week. And fingers crossed, my stuff doesn't go any further than what it is right now. And I'll be much better next week as well. So, gotta do all the things. Don't forget to hit the like button, because right now hitting the like button does matter. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. We do both public and member lives. We happen to be on public right now, and those happen on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Arizona time. November 3rd, everybody else's time changes, but Arizona doesn't. So it'll be an hour earlier to what it was today. Again, that's November 3rd for the U.S. I have to look at the U.K. So don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you don't want any ads and you want to be a part of the members group, just hit the join button. It's down by my channel name and by the like button. So you're already there. And if you don't want to go through YouTube, down in the description there is a Ko-fi link, Ko-fi link that you can join membership through there and still get into the member lives and into the secret Facebook group where everything is posted, a bunch of patterns and a whole bunch of lives that aren't available to everybody else. Now say it with me. You know what to say. You're awesome. You can do this. Why? Because you're a pyro artist. Happy burning, guys. Bye. Hubcap sends his love. He'll be all good next week. Mwah.